Good morning, everybody. Let's get started. Roll call, please, Jen.
Mike Dawson,
I'm here.
Tom McDonald, Jennifer Finley,
Here.
Jim Molitaire,
Here.
Carol Langford, Danielle Matt, here, Bing Matt, James Steele Jr.,
Una.
Martin Charlo,
Present.
Len Titi,
Here.
Lenice Trahan.
Thank you, Jen. Thing, will you give us a prayer this morning?
Eminem School and Susan. We do thank you, Creator, for your blessings that you give us today. We thank you for the moisture that you brought us to dampen our forests and our lands, Father, to help with the fires. Father, we just thank you for all that you do for our children and our grandchildren, our elders. Just thank you for the blessings that you give us for our people that are having problems with different issues. We pray for our veterans and our people that are in the armed forces, Father. We pray for them and we ask you that you watch over them, Father Lord. We just thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Bing. We have minutes from July 23rd.
Motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve the, was it July 23rd minutes with, guess there's no corrections, but motion to approve.
Motion by James. Any other thoughts? Second by Bing. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. We do have an agenda. Anybody have agenda items? Martin? James? Yeah. Okay. Jimmy? I'd entertain a motion. Motion by James, second by Martin. All in favor of the agenda with additions? Unanimous. We have two walk-ins. Two walk-ins on Jen. Who's first in the walk-ins?
Francis Pierre.
What
and
about
his-
Frank?
And his son.
Okay,
So we'll go Glenn Smith, but it's gonna be executive.
come on up, Glenn, and we'll go into executive. Out of regular into executive. One moment, Frank. I gotta take it out of executive session, make the motion. Motion by James to purchase, second by Martin. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. Come on up, Tara. We'll handle you and then maybe hear from Ron.
Fairly quick. Okay, let's see. Let's see.
Good morning.
Am I on, Oliver? Well, all right. Good morning, Mr. Chair, council members. I am on page 2 of here. I am here to request a revocable permit. This is from Jenny Ho with Chinagate. Oh, thank you. She wants to place her food truck. It's a takeout stand doing the same thing that she's doing at Chinagate on 1914B. We're negotiating still the actual rent. We had it at 600, but she has since been talking and wants it reduced to 500 just because the infrastructure isn't quite there yet, such as power and water. She'll have to haul off her water and she has a generator. So we're gonna go 4 months at 500 and not the 600. I did talk with the Lotties and they're willing to go with that as well. So we're just looking for approval.
Go ahead, James.
We should have her about here somewhere.
No, right? Like right here, I know. Hey, it might be, she might be doing some more, so I think this is the start.
We got a motion by Martin. Second by Jimmy. All in favor of going forward with the plan at 500 for 4 months
Yep, 504 months.
and then 600?
Yep, well, it actually might even be higher than that. Once we get the infrastructure all in, so we'll be back with that one though.
So all in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, Tara.
All right, thank you guys, have a great day.
Sure.
Yes.
Ron available? Morning, Ron. Come on up. We did. It felt great.
Fire Management Officer for the tribes. Just wanted to come before council to talk about our Public Law 638 agreement we have with the Bureau of Indian Affairs to manage the fire program. I've talked with Mr. Dolson, Honorable Chair, on this subject a number of times with Gregory Spar, Brian Upton, and a little bit with Kelly Parker. So we entered into the 638 agreement probably around 2009. Previous to that, we were a compacted program, which I think occurred around 1996, somewhere in there. 1998, we did a budget allocation system with the BIA that defined an organizational structure and a budget associated with that to manage the fire program. And I brought copies of what that looks like. I'll just have you know, since 1998 to present, our budget's remained pretty much flat for the base preparedness program. So I'm proposing that we submit for 2025 an annual funding request. It'll be based on the 2024 GS scale. Just so you know, we're paid through a GS scale. Have been that way for the last probably 3 years maybe. We're always 1 year behind the feds, and that's just how it's played out. So I used the 2024 pay scale for my 2025 budget allocation request. I think I sent that to you guys perhaps in a spreadsheet. Do you have that?
I didn't see it.
Okay. So, all I did is I just put the GS ratings for all the employees, filled all the positions that we have in our organizational chart, used the 2024 pay scale, and it comes out to roughly 2.4 million as a budget request for 2025. And for reference, we currently receive around $780,000. And underfunded program, I think it's that way across the board. Probably you guys probably hear this daily, but it's pretty significant, I think. And I'm willing to press this forward and see where it goes. But we need more funding from the BIA to run our program.
Questions for Ron? I know your original budget, what was your personnel at that time? How many?
So it's on that organizational chart, pretty small,
Yeah,
very small. I've handed out this as part of that package. This is what we were funded at. The little highlighted folks are the people that were covered by that $780,000 budget.
and
it's-
today?
Yeah, today we're pushing a little over 80 folks, and a lot more diverse program, and administrative requirements have grown exponentially, as has the fire occurrence and acres burned. So yeah, it's time for us to try to get some more funding. I think the other issue I wanted to talk about is this contract expires December 31st. And I'm requesting permission to start working with the legal department and start drafting or creating a new 638 agreement with the BIA. So I'd also like permission for that effort.
Questions? Go ahead. Martin and then Lynn. Okay, go ahead, Lynn.
And I guess this would be a question for Ruth. So do all of our programs that submit their budget include a cost of living in the budgets? Is that?
Always push the blue. So what Mr. Swaney is talking about is funding. And same applies in self-governance, all those programs. So we got at the very beginning, as he's saying, go back to the beginning of when we get the agreements in place. And there's a program amount that was awarded. Annually, we do data submissions back to the Bureau for pay costs. And they then award pay costs based on whatever the general schedule increases are. So he was referencing the 2024 GS that went up 4.7%. So if we show pay costs of, $100,000, we get 4.7% back to us in pay costs. So that's the only way our programs get increases for pay. What they actually get to grant is going to depend on what their budget allocation is and whether they can sustain whatever those increases are. Not everybody gets pay increases. I don't know if council is aware of that, but that's a fact. Not everybody gets a raise in their pay, let alone annually. So it's always going to be depending on what funding is available. So Mr. Swaney's request, I had asked before, does the contract allow pay costs to increase? Because that would be the expectation. We're under a funding arrangement with BTFA for our IIM program that is based on GS pay, and we get to get those pay costs increased every single year as those positions move through that pay plan. So they're awarded there, but what we choose to spend is a different matter. We spend more for IAM than what we're awarded. So
Thank
I
you.
don't know if
Ruth.
that answers it or
No,
confuses
it does. It really does. I appreciate that.
So in the last funding agreement, annual funding agreement that we negotiated with the BIA, I asked them to put that language in that funding agreement, that all federally funded individuals would receive a cost of living increase when made available by the federal government. And basically what I was trying to say is if the feds grant their employees a cost of living increase, that we would get that as well. It states that we would be treated as if we were employees of the secretary. And if the BIA gets a cost of living increase, I don't see why the tribal program would not under that contract. So that's some of the language I'd like to draft up, is to firm up some of that language in that agreement and have legal review. I mean, we did it during COVID and there wasn't a lot of legal review, and it was Ron drafting things up with a gal named Christine Whitaker. And Christine's no longer there, and she wasn't a lot of help. I mean, God bless her wherever she's at. I apologize, but and I didn't know what I was doing. So I want us to have an agreement going forward that makes sense and is beneficial to the tribe.
We got a motion by Martin to pursue the budget and contract, second by Bing. All in favor? Jennifer? Yeah. We got a unanimous vote. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, it was just kind of a separate question. How much does BIA give us for M&I for forestry? You know, like repairing buildings or what have you? What does that look like? Or do we get anything for that? Zero. And then I want to know what do we need to do to change that? Or do we need to request something differently? Do we need to, I mean, because we're providing, essentially we're asking, this is not a criticism, it's just we're asking for secretary to, you know, give us the pay that we're due COLA wise, but yet in terms of our buildings, we're using them for kind of a federal function that we're compacting. So why aren't we getting M&I for fixing those buildings, forestry, fire control, whatever we need? I mean, if, you know, lookouts, if we need to do a lookout situation again.
So we do get, so the funding for the lookouts, maintenance and repair come down annually because they're still owned by the BIA. Yeah, it's pretty, yeah. A couple of them are condemned and we're trying to work through that to either have them transfer the property over to the tribes, that being Jocko Lookout, built in the 60s or 70s, and they're really not wanting us to put people in there, but I wouldn't mind using some of that repair money, get it to where it's livable, and then maybe get it over to the tribes. And that would be, I don't know how the tribes would approach divvying that thing out. I mean, I wouldn't mind staying up there for a few months myself, but Pistol Creek's got to come down. Pistol Creek is one that needs to come down. Now, the facilities funding, we put in a request years ago for a new building and received, it was a four-stage project that required 9 million. And we received 2.5 million. So we had to modify what we were going to build. But so we have the new structure there, the new Division of Fire building. I submitted a request this year for another budget request for building. Construction is probably around 9 million again, but it has aviation facilities and other facilities, different things. So I continually request funding through the BIA for facilities. And You know, our aviation program, we got people out there under tents, 90 degrees, pilots, no place for them to rest, no air conditioning. So we've shown them this. So when they come in and do a national aviation review, we bring it up every year. This is what we need. Then they'll ask, well, did you submit a request? Yes, we did. And we will continue submitting requests as long as I'm there. I can't see why not. Why not continue to request? The one thing I would like to do is get probably maintenance involved and build a comprehensive plan, a blueprint, if you will, of everything that we want to do for that piece of ground. That going forward, we know this is what we're going to do. And if we get funding, this will be number one, this will be number two, and just really iron that out for ourselves, because a lot of us have plans, thoughts. It would be nice to put it on paper and have someone come in and actually craft that for us, where we know how big the building's going to be, what it's going to cost at today's rate, and submit a request that has a little more teeth to it. Right now, I'm just wagging what the average board foot per whatever would throw out and then just throw out a number. So go ahead, Mike.
Go ahead, James.
I think we need to put this on a thing that we lobby for, because we have a lame duck president. And I know darn well Deb Holland's not coming back next year. I've already know that. So, and we have Tester running in a close race. I think it's time we put this together, put it in a proposal that we give to our lobbying effort. And when we're talking to Tester and all them different folks, say, hey, we have fire issues. We need some help here. I mean, now's the time to strike while people are wanting to get elected to places. So, I mean, fire season comes around all the time. So I think, I mean, if you're putting in requests through the normal chain, then we need to get some pressure on the process and say, look, we need some help. So I would make that suggestion.
Some level of correspondence, at least. I mean, I submitted that request. The deadline was May 1st. I found out that right before May. So I submitted something just to beat the deadline, knowing that it probably wasn't going to be great, but have not heard anything. So I reached out to the regional office and asked for a reply and have not received it back. So it kind of reminded me of something. That's right before everything blew up. Go ahead.
How old is the forestry building in Ronan?
It's kind of newer, right, Tony?
What? So 50 years old? Yeah.
Kind of the role they've been playing is taking over Division of Fire's buildings as hopefully BIA funds a contracted entity to perform those tasks. And that's kind of where, why we don't get maintenance monies from them is their trade is we'll pay for a building and then we'll give the building to the tribe when you're done using it. So, but we are looking into other avenues, including, that facility, especially in any facility, Division of Fire uses or contracted, compacted, program uses to be able to get a leasing program back to BIA. And that would help cover the cost of not only the maintenance, but also expansion, and which very little won't cover, but it will be something.
Go ahead, Bing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to follow up on what Ron's first request about, funding. ITC's been working on the same issue to try to get everybody paid the same rate as Forest Service and whatever else. They're still doing it, because I just read something on their email the other day that they're working on this and trying to get this pushed through where these guys are going to have the same funding as everybody else, you know, and hopefully that they're going to get it through, because what sounds they're really working on this and really pushing it to go through right now. So maybe Tony has something to add to it, you know, but I've been following that quite a bit, you know, just to make sure that, you know, that they're still working on it. And But, yeah, they're really pushing on it to see if we can get this, you know, everything the same amount as everybody else getting paid here.
So what Councilman Matt's talking about is there's a new pay scale for firefighters that got passed last year through the Biden administration. And the only thing is it's not getting, I don't think Congress has approved the increase in the budget that comes to that program. So it's tough to match those together. But at some point, we may be coming in front of council to ask for permission to adopt that pay series. It's 456 job series that the federal government's put out for wildland fire.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you. Any questions on the fires? So we are working with the Kootenai Culture Committee, reaching out to those folks, to Vernon, to work with them on the Mill Pocket fire, making sure that we address issues and concerns. Yeah, go ahead.
So it was brought to my attention that one load retardant was dropped in a creek. Have you verified that, Ron?
Yeah, I got a group out there today escorting water quality to that area. And
Ron, I'd really prefer if you, as our FMO, go up there and look to see if that is the case. Yeah,
Sure.
I would feel more comfortable if I hear it from you.
I hear you.
If that is what happened, because knowing the damages that
Right.
could do to a watershed, there's got to be some kind of mitigation factors that we need to get on right away to address those. But
Okay.
that's really important. That's
it's
really
huge.
important for the Elmo community up there. They utilize that property a lot, and just to hear something like that occurred, I just really want to see the staff respond to it. So thank you.
Right. So we had a discussion on that, and my comments to my staff and the folks were, that's the resource we're protecting. And a lot of times it's our suppression actions that damage the resource. And we want to be careful about how we apply that. If it's life safety, if I'm saving someone's life, and that's how we need to get out of an area. But if it's anything outside of that, it's unacceptable. And just so you know, so the way that played out is the IC of the fire requested through dispatch that the seat aircraft come with water to the location. And I verified that, went out and told the seat base, run water. The piece of equipment that dropped is not from here. It's a national resource that came in. And yeah, I'm not impressed with that. You're completely right. I mean, I've been stewing over this one for a couple days, just trying to figure out what's up, what's right. And you're completely right. We should not be, running any retardant in that area. It's a special area. All of our woods are special. All of our water is special and needs to be protected. So yeah, I could take a run up. They took my rig, just so you know, the escort group took my vehicle, cause we're out of rigs, and I drove my personal rig, but I could always just hop in that and go up and take a peek. They're gonna GPS the area. What's that, Senator? Well, we can't do that even because we're travel. It's just terrible. But we are definitely, I plan on taking a day or two off, but I will be up there at some point, I promise. And it sounds like we've got a date with the Kootenai Culture Committee on the 14th that we need to report out. So we have, like I said, the water quality's up there, a couple folks from that group, from Natural Resources Department, doing some interviews and trying to figure out what's going on, but definitely letting folks know that's not how we want to run. Yeah. Yep.
Thanks, Ron. We'll take 5 minutes here, 5-minute break. Morning, Joe.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We'll come out of the break recess.
No, I don't think it needs to be accepted, but okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, Pasquex, Mr. Chairman, Tribal Council, I'm here, this morning to request a org chart change at the Tribal Health Department. I am requesting to create another division within the Tribal Health Department, called an Operations Division. Essentially what I'm trying to do is, break up the Business Office Division, which is a large division, hard to manage, hard to fill that position, as structured. I want to create, two much more manageable divisions and have some supervision over those functions. I brought my org chart with it. It's big, so it's hard to put on the screen. But essentially what the business office has now under current structure is about 87 positions under one supervisor. I want to create, I guess, a much more manageable workload for those supervisors. Also included is a change of some office manager's position from the registration division to, directly into the medical division to, start helping manage the scheduling function within the clinic. So those roles will try to keep those provider schedules full so they can manage the time slots available in a provider schedule and spend more, be more closely associated with the providers and nursing staff to make sure we fill those slots in the division, in the medical clinics. Yeah, I think that's it. I think if I have that.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I would support something like this, but, Joe, how is this specifically going to enhance or improve services to the members?
So again, in part, it will help us better manage the provider schedules. I don't know that we're optimizing those time slots available throughout the day in a provider schedule. So this gives us maybe a direct link between those people who will fill those schedules, the patients and the providers. So again, we can better utilize that. The business office division currently structured has like a really diverse scope, from the financial, accounts payable, the facilities management to medical records. So I want to try to better align some functions under an operations division to address the facilities, those facilities, those issues centered on operations, and then have the business office function focus on accounts payable, contracts and grants, and third-party revenue. So kind of line up functions under those managers. Right now, the business office is just really diverse. It's hard for a single person to manage kind of that workload and that diversity of function.
Other questions?
I've tried to provide an Excel spreadsheet to describe the changes. Can't see it, it's tiny. But let me try to zoom in here. There we go. That might be readable now. So that list, those 14 items are the org chart changes that are in front of you now.
Any thoughts, folks? Go ahead, Len.
So how many supervisor positions is this going to create?
I think it creates one new one. Currently under the business office division, I have a patient support manager.
Okay.
I will change that title from patient support manager to like operations manager, so it's
Gotcha.
a lateral rather than a new position.
Understood. Yep. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, I don't think it creates any new org chart boxes or new positions at this point. Shuffling the existing structure.
Go ahead, Danielle. Motion to accept, changes to the org chart. Second by Bing. All in favor? Jennifer? All opposed? I got 7-4 and Jennifer out of the room. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Good morning, Greg. See if we can get Jimmy back here and we'll get going. Go ahead, Greg.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of council, good morning. So in January of 2024, the fourth mandatory payment from the water compact settlement came to the tribes. And today I'm presenting a letter requesting the indexing amount be provided by the secretary to the tribes. Remember that the indexing amount is indexed back all the way to December 27th of 2020, and it's managed against the CPI, the PPI, and the Bureau of Reclamation's indexing. The attached letter is directed to Mr. Hendrickson, the superintendent, requesting the amount that's been affirmed at $21,005,127.14.
What was the 21 million? Greg, can you elaborate on that again?
Yes, sir. the tribes received $90 million of required mandatory payment from the water compact settlement on an annual basis. The one for fiscal '24 came in on January 8th. The act requires that the agreement have an indexing component, and that $90 million shall be indexed back to the signature date, which is December 27th of 2020. So on the letter here, I'll show you the methodology that's used. The methodology here says that the amount of the level of these indexes was 161, 120, and 432 respectively. And that on January 8th, those indexes had increased to 191, 142, and 540. Those represent CPI, PPI, Producers Price Index, and the Bureau of Reclamation's Construction Cost Index trend. So we take the current level on January 8th, divided by the level on December, and we multiply that 90 million respectively across these. So this is about an 18.9% increase indicated here, the 90 million. The index amount means that the tribes were entitled to a total payment of 111 million. They only provided 90, and this letter requests the 21,005,127.14.
Follow up. So when they send that money to the tribes, where exactly does it go?
It's added to the BTFA accounts, and the $90 million that came in was split 50-50 between compact Section 7 activities and the implementation or the settlement side of the trust. So it's divided between those two
Okay.
accounts.
So just trying to get an accurate understanding of of this process. So when that money comes in, what banks do they go into?
It goes directly to the BTFA, the Bureau of Trust Fund Administration. We have Deb DeMontier come in and periodically do that presentation of the I think it's at about 1.6 billion. It's held on deposit with the BTFA and within the compact account and within the implementation settlement account. And we have that fully invested in US Treasury bills, bonds, and notes. And the review that they do semi-annually talks about the different investments that are within that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that, Greg. Just trying to articulate how this all plays out, and because getting 90 million a year, we gotta, I don't know, just a lot of questions come up when we're getting that kind of funding coming in. And, you know, when the membership's asking me these questions, when they read in the minutes that we're getting 90 million a year, where exactly does that money go, and what are we doing with it, you know? So I
Yeah.
appreciate your response.
May I continue with that thought, sir? As we prepare to provide the budget for the upcoming fiscal 25, there will be a line item that entails the water compact intended budget, and there'll be a tie out for you and for all the members of the council as to what those anticipated activities are.
We need approval of the letter. Motion by James. Second by Jimmy. All in favor? We're unanimous. Good on the letter.
Okay. All right. Okay, council, modification 11 to fiscal 24 total allocations. One of the significant decreases that we're applying in general fund is going to reduce the budget that we'd originally allocated for Bison Range. This is due to the fortunate occurrence that Indian Affairs has obligated funding again for Bison Range. So we're able to offset that original tribal allocation, save tribal dollars. And then we have a small increase for our license plate scholarship program. We're continuing to spend the dollars that we accumulated from the sale of the dam plate, now unfortunately no longer continuing. So tribal education continues to award special scholarships with that funding. We also will increase contracts and grants for the total allocation net increase of $3,016,561. And I need to call your attention to the second page of the resolution. There's an error it should say modification 11 in the second, or in the be it further resolved. It still said modification 10. Otherwise, total allocations now increased to 334,586,753. Mr. Two Teeth, that's 50 million they're now presently allocated for the water compact for this year's budget.
Motion by Martin to approve modification 11.
The heading said it, but not the result. Darn it.
Second by Lynn. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you. Page 12 of your packet, we have a request. I have a request. It was my suggestion to procure this item this fiscal year, since it's a small purchase of 20,000 estimated. A tilt trailer for NRD roads. They had made the request for fiscal 25, but at this point we did have savings in the current year capital equipment, so we'd like to apply that purchase this year. Council needs to approve because we're past the July 1st deadline.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chair.
Motion by James to buy a tilt trailer. Second by Bing. All in favor?
I have one final, excuse me, sorry.
Unanimous.
One final item is not in your packet. This is with respect to the Enrollment Advisory Committee that you've just appointed. The committee is foreseeing needs to expend to further the purposes of the committee. This has not been vetted amongst the committee. All I'm asking is that you do approve the allocation of available ARPA funding. When we first received the 80 million treasury allocation of ARPA, we set aside 1% for what we deemed administration and management, just thinking we would. Sure, if you have that, I have it here, but it's so brief. So it would simply be, the major cost might be for any study that we may choose to have done, either economic or demographic study, as it entails enrollment potential change. Some advertising so that the word can get out to the membership, and direct mail as well. So between Charcusta ads, radio announcements, and postage for direct mailing, that was estimated at 7,500. And the committee meetings, I just want to advise that we're in a discussion of whether or not the committee work meetings will be open to the public. I'm getting personal feedback, just asking my fellow members how they feel about that based after the first meeting occurred. And some of them are, not entirely committed to an open meeting, let alone a live stream or a Zoom meeting. So we're trying to come to agreement on that. But at some point, I believe we would host at least 1 or 2 public meetings, and we would want to provide for that expense. And then, as I said, the biggest expense might be consultants. I don't know what they cost anymore, or how long they take, but 35,000 of the requested 50,000 would be identified for that.
Motion to approve.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. And thank you for bringing that up, Ruth. We had a brief discussion about that yesterday, and I was very adamant that we try to get a budget for this, because I think food is important.
And you know me, I'm always.
Well, because it's late in
I'm just
the
kidding.
it's late in the
Not for me.
afternoon. It's late in the afternoon going into evening, right? And as I mentioned, I hate to try to have people conduct a meeting when people are hungry, because people get on the edge, and I just think that's really important, especially when we're having a discussion of this importance to our people. I think that's good that we could sit over a meal and talk about things like this. And I truly support getting in any kind of budget that we can, that's available for this process. It's super important. And as for including the public, I would support that, but I also know how that could work against us on trying to get things done. Because you're gonna have, if we have, 80 tribal members show up, we're gonna have 80 opinions, right?
And they all want to be heard.
Yes, exactly. So this is a tough one. I think we need to just establish the committee and just leave it at that and allow them to do the work that we task them to do. And, because I think including more and more people is just going to, divert you from getting anything done. I mean, I've seen it already, just from what you posted on some of the minutes that took place. You know, everybody has their opinion on it, and everybody needs to be heard. So, but anyway, I appreciate you bringing that budget thing forward because it does definitely need to happen.
We have a motion by
That's a good
James.
job.
I'll second it.
Second by Lynn. Jennifer, go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, just barely.
Okay, hold on, let me put my earbuds in. Sorry. Okay, I have my earbuds in. Is this better?
Not much better. Ruth, will you turn your mic off and we'll see it? Go ahead now, Jen.
Okay, is this better?
Really not.
Oh, that's so
Go
weird.
ahead. We can kind of hear you.
Okay, so thank you, Ruth, for putting this budget together. One thing if anything, I would like to see if there could be a line item for a moderator. So maybe going back to Len's point, just having the committee do the work, which is about 30 people, the public meeting at $3,000, maybe could that be for a moderator? Because I felt like the meeting needed to be moderated because at the last meeting I went to, people were talking over each other. And I just feel like there has to be someone to at least maintain order like that, so people aren't doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Did you hear all that, Ruth?
Yes, I did, and I would think that we could included in the consultant's amount, any paid facilitator or moderator. I absolutely would recommend that be done in any case for the public meetings, just to have a good experienced hand at, doing that. I have been through all kinds of public meetings in my work here, and they range from completely awesome to completely horrible, right, Mr. Chairman Steele? Let's talk about the bison range with the local public. So there are, I think, ample opportunities to engage some folks that will do a great job doing that. And we have, as I said, amongst our committee privately, have talked about the need to do that to
All
keep
in
things
favor?
moving.
Jennifer? Unanimous? Thanks, Ruth.
The chair requests the council take action to approve the memorandum of understanding between the IBEW 768 and Mission Valley Power to set the safety watch rate at 1.5 times pay.
Motion by Martin. Second by James. All in favor? Jennifer? I got 7-4 and it's unanimous.
All right, well, thank you for your time, Mr. Chairman, members of council. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan.
Yep, thank you,
Ryan?
council.
Mike?
First item up for tribal lands for land committee is potential purchase of allotment 1003-I containing 12.5 acres for $190,000.
Motion by James to purchase. Second by Lynn. Any discussion? All in favor?
I would like to make sure that these ones go through doers if possible.
That okay, James? All in favor? Unanimous?
Next item up, potential purchase of individual allotments 1003-H and 1003-J containing 6.25 each for approximately 12.5 combined acreages. The value on that would be $115,000 per tract for a total of $230,000 with doer looking into it for if it's applicable.
Motion by Martin. Second by Lynn. All in favor? Unanimous?
Next item up, approval to advertise the approval to advertise the 2024 agricultural fall bid.
Motion by Bing. Second by Danielle. All in favor? Unanimous?
Next item up, approval to increase the 80 to rescind and redo in a resolution for admin fees from 89 to, so the approval to increase the admin fees as scheduled.
Any motion? You could have more discussion.
This will be brought back in.
Lack of a motion.
Well, let's see. It's the one on front. Next item up, potential purchase. Tribes have shown interest in this property. The appraisal finally came back in. Tract 4215C for $240,000.
Do we have any interest in purchasing? This
This is the one up on
property,
Kerr Dam.
Kerr Dam Road. The two ladies that have 100% interest between them.
What's that?
Next year's budget?
This one was already earmarked for this year's budget. The other ones are for next year's budget. These are all in trust.
Motion by Lynn. Second by Bing. All in favor? Unanimous?
That concludes the tribal lands.
Thanks, Mark.
Oh, I lied. That's right. Thanks
No,
for
you're done.
reminding me. I didn't write it down.
You're done.
Yes, I have my backup in
What
here
do you
for a
got?
reason. It's just not my muscle, it's my memory too. Tribal Lands is requesting sole source to purchase a weed wash station from Lincoln County for $25,000.
Motion by Martin. Second by Jimmy. All in favor? Unanimous.
Now we are done. Correct?
Go wash your weeds.
I would just like an informational to council real quick. Tony and I have been talking over the last month on powwows. It's been a hot topic, like always. We are going to be holding an after-action review, like on fires, with the powwow committee and the culture committees, just to find out what they all saw, what good, what needs to be worked on, what definitely needs updated right now. So we're going to be looking at the essential fixes for this upcoming season. Next week, I had talked to Sadie already that I'm going to come down and talk with the culture committee on it to get the elders' perspective on what they seen down there and what they would like to see improved. I do need to, I still haven't got a hold of Ronnie yet, but I did talk to Bing out in Elmo that we were going to do this. So I do appreciate the time when I had with being out there to explain that we are going to have these meetings so we can follow up with each powwow committee and hit the needed necessities. So we're going to go down, focus on the water, sewer, all that stuff for Arlie. We're also looking at lighting and some other things for up in Elmo. One thing up in Elmo that was talked about right off the bat was the lighting at night and the dust control. Since the new construction, the grass hadn't came back in yet, and potentially get more water spigots.
Good, Lynn.
So would the content of these meetings also include the transition of powwow committees? And the reason why I ask, because I have a family in Elmo that has shown interest in wanting to be on the committee. So I don't know if that was something you guys discussed. It's something that we can address during this time, since Tribal Lands does oversee the powwow grounds. It might be a good time to have that discussion.
I don't know how it went in the past on how the transitions went. But I think if there's individuals interested, I think we should be able to, they could present their cases to everybody and do that. Because I don't know how it transitioned from one family to another or one group to another.
Go ahead, Bing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't see why lands would have anything to do with the transition of a powwow committee. I don't. You know, and the people want to meet on this and discuss this, they ought to come forward and do it with the current powwow committee. They have some issues, let them know. You know, instead of going through you guys, where you have really no business with that powwow committee, other than them using the powwow grounds. So, you know, that's what I would think. I would think they want a meeting, let them have their meeting, you know, but let them have their meeting without you guys being there, because, you know, I mean, if you don't want to be there, that's fine, but still, I think they're the ones that should make that determination of who's going to run a powwow.
Tony?
Yeah, thanks, council. This first initial meetings with the current committee on staff, just to go over the actions, or what they've seen, kind of their advice moving forward. If there is a transition to the new powwow committee in the future, Lance or myself have no control of that. That's between, there's already a set process for that. I think there right now, the one family's still got another year to hold on the committee. So we're not taking over the management of who's the committee, we're just solely managing the property and communication with, we're going to treat the committee such as a leasee, right? Like, they're the leasee of the property at the time. What's their advisement of what the improvements need and moving forward and manage the property, not manage the committee or manage the powwow at all.
With the locations possibly being used by fire control or any other entity, I'd hope that we'd include them to talk about what needs there would be for the facilities as well.
Absolutely correct. Yeah, that's already on our radar of especially fire control and using that as base camp, which unfortunately gets used quite a bit as a base camp, as fires continue to happen. So we need to meet the needs of not only the time in July that those facilities are used, but the needs of use throughout the year.
Last year was a good eye opener for us. We actually were involved with the Arlee Powwow, Celebration Grounds and the Standing Arrow Celebration Grounds with the fire camps. And we were in contact with their ops and logistics guy that was letting us know what they needed. They needed a metered water dispensement at the powwow grounds, so we talked with housing to get those put in. They needed some breaker stuff. The RV plugins up in Elmo kept popping the breaker. So we had to get an electrician in there to work that out for them and figure out what the problem was. So we are looking at that. I did request from them last year that the fire camps, whoever's in the logistics part of the camp manager, to give us a breakdown of what went good, what needs to be fixed, and stuff that didn't really even concern them or anything. I wanted that. I never did receive it. I don't know if fire control did or not, but we never did. But it's something that we were looking at last year, is to work with those fire camps straight up to find out what their needs are. They needed storage, so we opened up a couple of the kitchens down there in Arlee, the concession stands, so they could stockpile the water and Gatorade so it wouldn't walk away. So we do work with them really well. And we've already talked with Devin Claremont out at Fire Control about the land uses on them, that if anything comes up, please get a hold of us so we can get those all signed off on, so we can get that reoccurring money, if it does happen, to trickle into the right area for the property management of the celebration grounds.
Go ahead, Ben.
I appreciate that, Mark. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that, and I was, hopefully that maybe down the road we can talk to Greg and him and maybe have that power, that money that's being used, that going into you guys, put back into the power, grounds or whatever else are going to be needed. But it would be nice that we could, go ahead and go that route, and that was their Elmo been having theirs up there, and and we have ours down there. You never know how long last year I was there for darn near a month, so it would be nice to see if we can get some of that funding anyway for the grounds.
Anything else for Mark? Thank you, Lance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Council.
Motion? Okay. Okay, Martin? No. Martin?
So, as you guys should know, I guess, Marvin Camel is getting inducted to the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame, the 8th through the 10th. I'm not sure when the actual ceremony is, but I know a lot of his family are going down there. I did get a request from tribal member of his family that was wondering if there was anything we could do as I don't know if we could do a celebration with the family or host something for the family or have the family put something on and us assist with it or something, but it was brought up. It was also asked if any of us were going down to the ceremony. I'm not. It's in like a week. So Las Vegas, man. So the 8th, it just says, I looked it up, it just says the weekend of the 8th through the 10th. I'm assuming that the ceremony would be on the Saturday. So, next month or so, I don't know what, I would probably prefer to have the family put it on, but us assist just because they know it better. Marvin's getting old. It sounds like he has Alzheimer's, and so it'd be something good to do for the family and him as well. So just putting that out there. Hopefully it'd be a consideration. Thank you.
Thanks, Martin. James, you had something too.
I got it figured out. Thank you.
James, and
I forget. But we already did that.
well, we didn't because that went so long this morning.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe. I just wanted to, give a little, I took a trip with excuse me, St. Kusum last week. And we went to, the Big Hole Battlefield. And we also went to the, Madison Buffalo Jump and stayed at, a couple days just traveling with those kids and with the staff. I can't say enough for the teachers, staff that teach those kids and what they teach them. They're pretty awesome. The kids are really respectful. They do all the prayers before the meals. They do, and do it in Salish. And it's really cool to listen to them because they're really good at it. And they show them everything. They teach them everything they can in the history parts that we went to. And it's just really cool. I just can't say enough for them. They're really good with the kids, and I really enjoyed my time with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't know if I need to make a motion or if I just need consensus. Have a tribal member, enrolled tribal member from here missing. His mother's non-member, but she's requesting assistance for travel for the search efforts. I was hoping that we could access $300 out of the MMIP fund to assist the family in their search efforts.
Is there any objection to assisting a family in their search effort for a tribal member who's missing? No objection.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Len.
Does council even need to approve that? Doesn't Danielle just have as our MMIP representative, just have the authority to make that decision? I believe that's how we worked it with Ellie.
Well, I think that's true, and I'm not at all afraid to support her with just a consensus that we agree.
Yeah,
But,
I would just leave it at the discretion of Danielle.
It would be nice to see if there's some sort of schedule of the kinds of things that we helped with through that, so. But,
And Mr. Chair,
yeah, go Martin.
some of these are fairly urgent, that come to over the weekend. And so, yeah, having them have the ability just to do it. And it used to be, and we may need another person because, Jamie used to handle that. Oh, it's you now? I mean, never mind, we got Jen handling it, so.
There you go. Thank you all. Guess, motion by Jimmy.